well as their stories. All right, so now we have this recorded. So I want to share this right here, right? Because this is where we get stuck, right? I shared this here on our Let's Win Financial group page. And I talked about this right here, right, for as our topic for tonight, which is inventorying your circle. All right. And so I basically say here, right, our family and friends oftentimes put limitations on our growth. We get stuck doing things because of the traditions. All right. And so, for example, check out this elephant story. A gentleman was walking through an elephant camp and he spotted that the elephants weren't being kept in cages or held by the use of chains. All that was holding them back was from escaping the camp was a small piece of rope tied to one of their legs. As the man gazed upon the elephants, he was completely confused as to why the elephants were just standing there and never tried to escape. So you got these big elephants with these ropes on their foot. They can easily escape that. Then the trainer replied, when they are very young and much smaller, we use the same size rope to tie them at that age. It's enough to hold them. As they grow up, and guys, here's where it's at right here. As they grow up, they are conditioned to believe that they can't break away. They believe the rope can still hold them, so they can never break free. Guys, this is us today, right? We get so used to our certain traditions of how we was raised. We get used to what we was taught. We get so used to trained in kindergarten by raising our hands and asking the teacher, can we use the bathroom? That results today when we put in our leave for our jobs and when we ask our boss to say, hey, look, can we take leave? It's the same type of way with these elephants, right? And so when we look at this, we think about, I look at this right here, man. I hate when Leslie tell me, well, I talked to my boss today. I hate that because that's a motivation for me to say, I want you to be your own boss, right? I don't want my wife to say she got a boss. Her boss is her boss, And so that's what these particular elephants, right? And as we talk about inventorying your circle, the moral of the story of these elephants is people try to get so used to what's uncomfortable, and that's sticking to a job or that's sticking to one income that's too close to not having no income, right? And they make excuses, but put less effort into the things that make them enjoy life, right? And so the only reason they aren't breaking free from this is what's holding them back is that over time they adopt the belief that it isn't just possible to achieve what's really true. So I share that story tonight because I thought that was very interesting because as we talk about inventorying your circle, I want to ask you this question here, right? So if you was in a dire need and you needed $5,000 tomorrow, if you inventory your circle right about now between your family, between your friends, between your coworker, and anybody else, if you needed $5,000 by tomorrow night, to get out of a dire situation. If you look at your circle, would anybody be willing to give you $5,000 that you know today to get you out of your situation tomorrow? That's a question that I want to challenge you guys. If you can't think of one person, then you need to elevate your circle because you want to have people around you that's going to be moving you, that's going to be motivating you. Now, oftentimes, 90%, we would probably go to our family. And oftentimes, 95% of the time, the family, you know what they're going to tell us? Baby, I ain't got it, but I'm going to pray for you. Right? Or if you go to your friends, they may not have it, but they're going to say, dog, I can't help you right about now. But, I can maybe give you $1,000. I can maybe give you 500. Or you may go to a professional colleague. That might be the one that maybe to help you out. But when we look at inventorying our circle, we got to ask ourselves, are you moving forward? Or are you moving backwards? And so here are some of the things, some discussion points that we're going to get in tonight. And we think about this here, right? As far as what are we going to be doing to be moving forward? So these right here, these traditions, right? These are some of the talking points that we're going to be discussing. Now, I want to hit up on the traditions first, right? And I want to show you all this quick little article here really quick because this happened to an NFL football player this week. Now, man, look, these guys make a lot of money, but they get stuck, man, in a circle. they get stuck in traditions. You see this right here, Baltimore Ravens running back Mike Davis, Atlanta home robbed of jewelry, cleats, honoring Davis' father who died of cancer. Now, this happened this week. This happened just yesterday. They posted this article yesterday. I think it happened like maybe over the weekend. Now, this guy right here, Davis, he stays in Atlanta. All right. He was with the Baltimore Ravens last year. But so somebody broke into his house. But check this out, guys. Look what they stole in his house. All right. And we go right here to initial report. All right. So among the listed items, among the items listed as stolen, a diamond necklace with the number 28. Guys, check this out. Valued at $25,000. And another diamond necklace with MD, guess what? Valued at $25,000. 2 Cartier bracelets, 4 tennis chains, and a Gucci handbag were all listed among the items taken from Davis' home. Now, I went and looked at this guy's salary, and this guy, he only been in the league for a few years, and he haven't made a bunch of money. All right. But check this out here. This headline here says Mike Davis had over $100,000 worth of jewelry stolen from his home. Guys, we hear about these stories all the time about these athletes and the amount of money that they have, and as far as their money just going by quick. Because you know what? When they're spending $100,000 on jewelry, when they're buying these handbags, and that's not to say that they can't do it, but what we always preach here in the Let's Win financial community is what are you doing to actually move you forward and actually have your money working for you? And if you ain't inventorying your circle, Mike Davis more than likely probably grew up in a rough neighborhood, right? And he probably had an opportunity when he did get his money. He wanted to go see what he saw that was around him, that what he knew what was around him. And so I always tell you guys, exposure always leads to expansion. But if you ain't never been exposed to some of the final pleasures in life or being able to travel the world, when you do get it, it's almost like that kid that's going to college that his parents have just kept him in the house. And when they get out into the big world, he just get loose. And that's what happens with these athletes. They get these $1 million contracts and they don't necessarily know how to manage it because guess what? They don't even understand financial literacy. So when they get these multi-million dollars, this is what they do. They're going by the things that they want to have. They get broke. And then we realize how much stuff that they really have when incidents like this happen. And you wonder why 87% of athletes, in particular NFL football players, go broke after 2 years from retiring in the league. This is one of the main reasons why, because when you inventory a circle, they ain't really got major influences around them to help them advance financially. They got their homeboys that's with them, right, that want to be with them because they got a league status. They maybe have a financial advisor that may be handling their money. But we learned from Steve Harvey, right? If you ain't managing your own money, then your money could be run away from you. Steve Harvey just did an interview about a month ago with Earn Your Leisure podcast. And he talked about how his tax accountant wasn't even filing his tax returns. He owed over $20 million to the IRS. His financial advisor, his tax accountant was actually stealing the money. So even if you have money, right, or if you don't have no money, if you ain't managing your own money, then your money could potentially run in from you. And so you got to inventory your circle and say, hey, look, if I got some friends right about now, we go back over here and we look at this here, right? Let's go right here and look at this here, right? Filtering your life. All right. So if you filter in your life and you think about this, right? Majority of us is on social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, or TikTok. Let me ask you a question here. If you ain't following accounts that motivate you and move you, you wasting your time. I'm going to say that again. If you're not following accounts that's going to be able to help and motivate you and move your family financially to another position in life. See, guys, here's the main problem. We've been entertained for too long, and entertainment only leads to pleasure. It don't lead to the points of what it's going to lead to you to retire at the age of 45 and 50 and 55 and be able to go to the beach on a Wednesday at 11 o'clock a.m. with your spouse. Entertainment don't do that, right? And so we got to be to the point of we got to start filtering, right? We got to be around people that's going to be motivating us And so I challenge anybody, right? If you're on social media, if you got things that, you could get home and you could be on social media and we complain about having one income, when you get off your job, you can work your 9 to 5, but when you get home, you can work your actually 5 to 9 as far as working on yourself, improving yourself, motivating yourself to bring in additional income. Because I'm going to tell you right now, guys, with inflation and where it is now, you better start tracking every single dollar, because what I shared right here on Facebook this morning, when I go right back over here, I shared this right here. If you look at what things have increased over the last year, check this out. This is why it's more important than ever. Let me see here. I got it right here. This is why it's more important than ever to be tracking every single dollar that's coming into your household. Because what happens is you look at this inflation right here. This is over the last year. You look at gas. Gas is up 43% over a year from now or a year ago. Look at used cars. They up 22%. Utilities 200. That's just supposed to be 22.7%. New cars up 13%. This came out today. This is the inflation report. Apparel up 5.4%. But we still out here shopping like we used to, and our money ain't the same. You see this right here? Inflation is up 8.3%. So that's basically saying that $100 last year ain't worth $100 this year. It's worth $92. All right. So this is why it's important for us to say, you know what type of filter are you using for the people around you to motivate you? All right. And so let's just get into this and let's just dialogue this. Right. And so, Brian, if you don't mind, man, do you got anybody around you? We kind of had some conversations before when you're on the golf course, right? Do you normally have anybody in your circle that motivates you and move you forward to the next level?
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this question here. If you needed $5,000 tomorrow, do you got one particular person that you can actually go to that will be able to give you that $5,000 by tomorrow?
Yes.
Got you. Now you said a couple of them?
Yes.
That's good. So your circle in itself, right? You got some people that's progressing that will be able to help and support you, right? I would tell you this right here, Brian, that's not common though. And why do you think so?
Because those are the people that I'm trying to emulate and try to get to that level. So for me, that's where I want to be. I don't want to work on my job. Most people have 9 to 5s. I have 12 to 12 and 8 to 8s. So for me, it's like, okay, this is a temporary hustle for me, but eventually I want to get my finances, my investments, my properties and things like that, so that when I'm sleeping, I'm making money. And so when then I wake up, I'm like, oh, I made $6,000 last night. That's my mindset. And it's not trying to be greedy, but it's just, I don't want to punch somebody else's clock for the rest of my life. I don't want to get to 65, 66, and I'm going to retire, and then my health is not where it needs to be, where I can enjoy retirement.
So let me ask you this question here, Brian. Between when you think about your circle, right? Who is a big influencer for you in your particular circle to help motivate you to get to the next level?
Right now, to be honest, the biggest influencer is you.
I knew he was going to say that. I was going to say with the exception of me, but go ahead. You
good. But yeah. I have other guys that I play golf with that are talking about real estate, that are buying things. I have friends, a close friend of mine who has property. I have other people saying, hey, so how many doors do you need to retire off? And that concept was foreign to me. And they were like, okay, you need to have at least 5 or 6 properties so that you can have rental property, so that you can have that secondary income coming in. So because you can't rely off of just Social Security. Thank God I have some other investments in 403, but I have people in my ear not every day, but a weekly basis, asking me what am I doing to move to the next level.
And Brian, that's a good, man. I must make this statement right here because my mom is on right here. And so ever since I've been with Let's Win Financial, and I do a lot of posts in our private group here on the Facebook page, and I get really private on my finances. And the reason why I do that is because sometimes that we look at what's on social media, or we look at celebrities and we start counting their pockets. And we say, man, that's impossible to do, right? Or what did they do to get to that particular position? But all I try to do is be just transparent as possible as a financial educator. And my mom would say, well, Shawin, everybody ain't able to max out their retirement accounts. Everybody ain't able to max out a Roth IRA account. And everybody ain't able to put X amount of dollars in an investment account or buy this particular house or buy that house. But the reason why I put that on there on social media and in this particular group is because I'm a firm believer that exposure leads to expansion. And my dad said something the other day that was very profound. He says that we pay for education once, but we pay for ignorance every single day. And what happens is us, in particular, as an African-American community, we don't have no one growing up. We don't have no one in schools. In particular, we can go and get a PhD degree, MBA degree, and ain't nobody teaching us how to move our money forward. But what they're doing is they're teaching us how to get a job and how to go out and make money for somebody else. So the reason why I put my information out on, in particular, into this particular group, because I say, you know what? If you wanted to make $25,000 a month, if you wanted to make $30,000 a month, hell, I posted last November to where I made $90,000 in a month. And then people were like, wow, how in the world does Sherwin do that? You know why? I put that on there not to brag, but I put that to say, you know what? It's impossible. It's possible for all 14 people that's on this particular session for tonight, the ones that's watching on Facebook. It is possible for you to make an unlimited amount of money, but as long as you have that limited mind frame, you're going to be just like them elephants. Whereas when you're conditioned to have that rope on your leg as a baby, the bigger that you get, you're going to still have that same mindset. So my thing from a Les Win Financial standpoint, we like to tell you, hey, look, yeah, you have your 9-to-5 job, but I guarantee you your 9-to-5 job have a cap on how much money that they're going to pay you. But when you leave your job and you work for 5 to 9 and you build your own business, you build your own brand. And Crystal is on here. Her and her husband is a broker, and they're big time realtors down here for a lot of them. They can tell you that their income is very limited, especially in the market in the last 2 years where they have sold multiple homes and have agents under them that have sold multiple homes. I commend Crystal and her husband because both of them are brokers. And so that's what I like to teach in this community as far as what are you doing to inventory your circle, to build around you. And so my thing is, if we don't know how to make or advance outside of what we're currently doing, then we're going to be stuck in that. I'll give you a prime example. I was out the other day eating at a restaurant, and I was sitting by this young guy, and it seems like his grandfather. And I was listening to another couple having a conversation, which was an African-American couple. And this African-American couple, they was talking about love and hip hop, and they was talking about the housewives of Atlanta. Then I heard another conversation between this young guy and his grandfather. You know what they was talking about? They was talking about the different stocks that they invested, and they was actually talking about the actual real estate that they was actually looking at. And I told Leslie, I said, you know what? You know, this is really crazy because this is really America. You got a culture of talking about people and watching things that has no value. Then you got a whole nother culture that's actually always what they're talking about is advancement. And that's common. That's their normal conversations, what they're having. Like, that's common. Because you know why? They're exposed to that. That young guy that was talking to his grandfather, he grew up on that. But I showed you Mike Davis. He grew up on just trying to make it. And oftentimes than not, his mom probably had to work multiple jobs for him just to have a pair of Nikes, or maybe just for him to have a pair of Jordans. So when he made it big, he go and buy this jewelry. He go in there buy the jewelry to say, hey, look, I'm in the league. I made it. I got money. So guys, we got to change our inventory. We got to inventory our circle. And when you get off this call tonight, you got to ask yourself, do you have a good accountant? Do you have a good lawyer? I can tell you got a good financial advisor because I bring it every week. I'm putting the information out to you every week. And if you ain't, I'm putting the food on the table. And when I put the food on the table, it's for you to put that food in your mouth. Now that's up to you or not, but I'm gonna put the food on the table and I want to make you full. And I tell you guys this right here. Brian mentioned it, right? And I knew he was gonna probably say who was an influencer. I became a millionaire at the age of we became a millionaire at the age of 39. How many people you know that's actually doing that? You can go to get these PhD degrees, have medical degrees, and they have all these different debts, right? But guys, what happens is this starts with a mindset first. I was telling Krista on a certain interview that her and I did. I said, Krista, I didn't really become a millionaire until when I put it into my mind first, and that really wasn't my necessarily goal. But when you're focused on having a circle around you, and one of my main influences in my circle was my wife. That was my main influencer in my circle. Because what Leslie did, she changed my mindset. Leslie was a welfare kid. Grew up in high school, and she could afford only to apply for one school. That's how bad that she was on welfare. Grew up on a city bus. I told her I got a car in high school. She was like, what? Welfare kid applied for one school, which was Florida State. That's where she got accepted into. And she went to school, got a master's degree in accounting, got a bachelor's degree, all CPA, all that, right? And guess what? She still lived like she on welfare. And that's the biggest thing is we want to be moving, and we want to be not just moving, but we want to be moving with strategy. We want to be moving. Every move that you make, like tonight, before you go to bed, you want to be able to make a to-do list and say what you got going on tomorrow. When you wake up tomorrow, you want to knock out that to-do list, and you say, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna work this 9 to 5, but how I'm gonna bring extra money into my particular house? I can come home and I can go and I can sit home and I can watch Netflix, a series, or I can watch Housewives of Atlanta. And yeah, I could go out here and I could do that. But what am I actually going to do to actually move forward for my family and push us forward? And if you can't push your family forward, and if you ain't got the people around you that's helping you move forward, you need to inventory your circle, because your circle is what's going to push you from making $100,000 to you being a millionaire one day. All right. But we can't put limitations though. We can't be small-minded, because if you be small-minded, you're going to stay small-minded. But you got to be willing to take that one step extra to move you forward. All right. So let's check this out, guys. So we're going to go right here to our next. We're going to go here to our next talking point. We'll really get into some discussion here, right? So let's talk about this a little bit more, right? When I talked about this here, right? So on an average, and I'm just be transparent with you guys, right? On an average, right? Leslie and I, we make $25,000 a month just on average, right? I grew up from a small town in Live Oak, Florida. And for me, I would just wanted to go to the military and buy a car. And as soon as I graduated high school, guess what happened to me, guys? Before I graduated high school, I got arrested. Both of my parents are ministers, and I got arrested. And then my dad had to come pick me up from the county jail because I went to a senior skip party. And I remember this vaguely, man. My dad picked me up and he took me to the park, and I was so hungry that night because they got out of jail about 9 o'clock. And I asked Dad, can I get something to eat? And he was like, no. That was embarrassing. 6 months later, guess what happened, guys? I got arrested again. I got arrested 2 times at the age of 18. That's when I went into the military. I ain't know where I was going in life, but I was just trying to figure out life. So I went into the military. I went into the Air Force. That's where everything started clicking for me. They paid for my education. They gave me a check every month. And all I wanted to do is just get a paycheck and survive. And now I get to the point where I'm actually thriving. But but you know what, guys? I did this right here, right? We went to Legoland this weekend. And for me, it's not about what you make. It's about what you give. And I don't like sharing this, but I'm kind of just sharing this story as far as what I do. I was at Legoland this weekend, and I saw this one girl, her and her parents, and she was in a wheelchair. She was disabled. She was disabled. And I got my brother-in-law. He has Down syndrome, and he's disabled as well. But I saw this girl in a wheelchair. Now, my brother-in-law, I feel like he's a smart, disabled guy at 36. But my heart led to me, and my spirit said, you know what? She was with her parents. And then my spirit said, give her $250. And I struggle with it, man. I struggle with it. I kept seeing them struggle with it. And I told Leslie, I said, you know what, give me a few minutes. They was getting ready to get on a ride. So give me a few minutes. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Because I told Leslie I was doing, she was gonna tell me don't do it. And so I went to the bathroom and didn't really go to the bathroom, but went over to the family, saw the girl. And I went over to the mother. I said, ma'am, I know this is a little odd, but I said, do you have Cash App? She was like, yeah. And she said, well, what's going on? I said, ma'am, I said, again, I know this is very awkward, but I want to get to the point where I kind of do a ministry. But I want to be able to give your daughter some money. And she looked at her husband and she was like, wow. And I said, can I get you? I said, I have my phone now. I say, can I get your number? And she put a number in there. I put $250 in there. When she saw the 250, she looked at me like, what in the world? But for me, man, it's like when you look at the Jeff Bezos, when you look at the Bill Gates, man, these guys, they have so much money. They don't even really give all this wealth to their kids. They want to give back to different nonprofit foundations and organizations. And guys, I would just tell you like this right here. When you inventory your circle and when they push you and you get to a certain level in life, you're going to realize that giving back is more fulfilling than making the money that you made. When I lay my head down at night, that's the most fulfilling moment for me to be on this call tonight, to be able to influence and motivate 230 people every single month in the Let's Win financial community, be able to give back to my community, be able to give back faithfully to my church and more, and to be able to do these special things like this right here for different families. For me, that's the most fulfilling thing in life, because this ain't about me. This is about giving back and helping others. And so I say that to say this is we want to be able to get to the level to where if you give somebody some money, it don't hurt you, because it's just an act of giving. Like my twin brother and I, by the influencing of my parents of being exposure leads to expansion, we saw them giving scholarships to certain kids when we was in school. So my twin brother and I, Sherman and now, right? I think it's either 3,000 or maybe 4,000. I don't know. I think it might be 4,000. I'm not sure. We've been doing it for so long. But this week, matter of fact, this Friday, there's going to be a scholarship banquet where we're going to be giving back. I think it's 3,500. I think to kids that's getting ready to go to college. Exposure leads to expansion, because when you inventory your circle and you got people that's helping you advance and helping you grow, then you get into positions to where you can be a blessing to other people. And when you get to the point where it's all about you, then what you got ain't really valuable. It ain't that valuable. And so that's the problem today. We get greedy and we want more and more and more. But I get to a point where even like my tenants, for instance, I share this story sometime. One of my tenants, her daughter was ran over by a fire truck because her daughter was running from a dog. And this is before she moved into one of our units. But I have sympathy for her, because every single month her rent is due on the 5th, and she normally sent her rent on the 9th. Normally after the 5th, there's a $35 late fee, but I don't charge her that extra money. Matter of fact, man, we pray with her, man. Matter of fact, she called me today and had a leak or a stop in her toilet. We had to get it fixed. We got it fixed. But when you that's just the thing, though, right? Inventorying your circle, like these normal conversations that we having as far as advancing us and growing us. We got parents that's on this call tonight. Like, for instance, there's a guy, I'm just gonna say Mardell, right? He grew up from a town similar to me, and when he came and he told me his story and what he's doing for his daughter and what he started and then what he's doing now, and we gave him the tools to how he can continue to even grow what he's already set for his daughter. Man, that's impactful, because this is an African-American male that he could be caught up into the regular society with his pants hanging down, with dreads. But this ain't that type of guy, though, because he got his daughter and he's actually putting money in an account for her, not just a savings account, but an investment account now that's going to be able to help her grow and influence her. It's stories like that I just simply love, man. Like my brother Sean that's on here. When we talk about inventory our circle, he's 10 years older than me. And since he's been part of this Let's Win financial community and been on these particular calls, he's at a point to say, you know what, Sean, there's different financial matters that's going on in my life right about now, man. I've been improved so much where I wanted to get to this and do this. I'm doing it. That's inventorying your circle to advance you. Guys, we celebrate with our friends. We go to parties with our friends. We buy these bags with our friends. But let me ask you a question. Are you building businesses with your friends? Are you talking about investments with your friends? Are they going in and helping you in times of motivating you to say with your particular friend to say, you know what, if they said that they was going to go and buy that house or when they was going to buy that investment property or they was going to start that business and they did it and it's inspiring you, you need to be around that particular friend. But if that friend talking about their neighbor and if they talking about their coworker, then they potentially talking about you. And if they talking about love and hip hop, if they talking about Housewives of Atlanta, if they talking about who LeBron James sleeping with, is that adding value to you? Absolutely not. So I really want to get into this aspect of influencing your circle and your inventory is when we talk about our kids. Because when we look at who's around us, then our kids is actually seeing the impact. If we around negative influences, our kids see that. And again, guess what that starts with? It becomes generational. And it's the same concept because we could be in the hood and you could grow up in the hood, but that hood will never leave you no matter how much money you make. And it's primarily with athletes today. The hood never leaves them. No matter how much they're making, they always have the hood in them. And so we have to look at inventorying your particular circle. Are you moving forward in itself? Now, DeJuan, I know you got your thing there on mute, and I like to engage with you. And just as I asked Brian, right? And I'm sure you probably do because you're very aggressive. But if you had to have $5,000 tomorrow, do you have a circle around you or a person that you know, and that will be able to give you $5,000 by tomorrow night?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I know who that particular person would be too. But so when you talk about your friends, right? Mm-hmm. Do your friends motivate you and push you, or are you the one that's really pushing your friends?
My friends push and motivate me. I typically hang around people that are smarter than me or, but my friends motivate me. It used to be where I was the motivator in my circle, but now I just vibe higher and I want people that motivate me, because if you're the only person in your circle that's motivating, then I'm not getting fed. But my friends push me to way past 10. Like I have one friend that's a millionaire and she's on this fire, invest, retire early. So she's on me about that. And then just surrounding myself around positive energy people that's going to take me to higher levels. I mean, you said something about watching Love and Hip Hop or The Housewives. I live in Atlanta. I've only watched the Housewives show one time. I just don't have the energy or the tolerance for that. I'm just thinking further and how can I really tap real estate and retire and then be a philanthropist. So
absolutely. I think that's great. Now, the one I would say like this right here, it's the reason why the eagles fly with eagles, and it's the reason why the chickens fly with chickens, right? And you got to get to a point whether you want to be a chicken and whether you want to be an eagle, we want to fly higher, right? And so that's very important because I say this the other day, right? If you hang around 5 millionaires, guess what? You eventually going to be the 6th millionaire. If you hang around 9 millionaires, guess what? Eventually you're going to be that 10th millionaire, because guess what? Your friends that's around you, they don't got to a certain level, and you hang around them and you're hearing their ideas, their concepts, and their conversations. Yeah, it might be a little bit different, but eventually you're going to catch on to it to see what they're doing, and you're going to model it. And guess what? They're going to reach back and they're going to help you get to that level. I like what you said in regards to you're never the smartest one in the room. Because once you're the smartest one in the room, then your growth stops. No matter
Yes.
how much money you make on a monthly basis, if you don't continue to feed yourself, right? That's at that particular moment is when you stop growing. And we want to never stop growing. I don't care if you're 60, I don't care if you're 70. You want to never stop growing because you never know who is around you and watching you and you're potentially influencing. Michael Jordan is a prime example. Yeah, he's famous and all that good stuff, right? But Michael Jordan, guess what? His influence is he's an NBA owner. He could have played NBA, just played NBA, but guess what? He's an owner. And the reason why I'm getting to that is because guess what Michael Jordan owns? He owns 24 hours of his day. See, we don't want to be millionaires. We don't want to have $100 million. We want freedom. When we have freedom, then freedom gives us access to do whatever we want to do. That's what we want. That's what we really want. And when you own your time and when you own your 24 hours, then it don't really matter if you make $100,000 a year. It don't really matter if you make $300,000 a year. Because guess what? More than likely, if you making $500,000 to $600,000 a year, you working like a slave and you in a high pressure position. I heard on a podcast the other day, Millionaire's Monster is a podcast I listened to. It was an African-American sister. I could tell by the tone of her voice. But her net worth, she had $5.9 million. And she talked about in this account, how much she had, and that account, how much she had. But she was a corporate HR manager. And she talked about how many hours she worked, the pressure that came with it. But imagine if she had made that type of money, but she owned her own time. That's the real true time of wealth. Wealth is not about money. To me, wealth is about time, right? And so for us, is we want to get to that opportunity where we own our own time. And then we want to be able to say, hey, look, we teach this to our kids, because if your kids can see you not have to hustle or not have to struggle, then they're going to be better off. And they're going to say, look, this was I was exposed to. This is what mom and dad did. This is what I'm going to do. Inventory your circle, because your kids is in your circle. When we look at our jobs, inventory your circle at your job. You might have a person at your job that motivates you to get to the next level, that certification that you want to do. Don't be scared to go talk to them, because if you want to get to that level, don't be afraid to advance. Don't be afraid to take that next step. But our egos is what hurt us to inventory our circle, because we want to be limited. How many times you get tired of, man, today Wednesday and payday Friday, and you can't go nowhere tomorrow because you got to get paid Friday because the money coming Friday. It's the half of the month. We don't pay the rent. We don't pay the mortgage. So majority of our money come on the second half of the month, because first half of the month, that takes majority of our pay. And now we figure, okay, we're going to get paid and we pay our bills and we could do something a little bit, but then we got to wait the next payday to pay the mortgage. Then we pay that, then the money tight. And then we in the same cycle again on the 15th where we have majority of the money. We could do a little bit, but it's limited. It ain't really a whole lot. Then it's just what we call that rat race. It's that rat wheels, that circle, round and round and round and round, because we depended on that one income. Where we inventory our circle can influence us, empower us to give you future opportunities. You might have someone in your particular circle that you could build around that's a business owner, that may be to help you build your business even more. Whether it's if you're in the real estate, whether if you're into affiliate marketing, whether if you selling stuff on Amazon and eBay, just helping inventory your circle. Because if you got those friends that's not advancing you, you're going to be stuck. Just like them elephants. And we got to change that trajectory about our lives. Guess what's coming up next month? Can anybody tell me what's upcoming next month? That's pretty historic.
I think Amazon is about to split the stocks.
That's true. But let me just say this right here, in particular to our African American culture.
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth. Juneteenth. Juneteenth is, man, it's so powerful, man. And we look at it as another holiday. Our ancestors, man, they fought in them fields, man, for us to have freedom, for us to break free from them chains, man. And we still sit in society today, but we're in a different type of slavery. That slavery is debt. Because when we get paid, a majority of our money now is going to credit cards because we don't spend money that we don't have and we put it on the credit card. And it's holding us back because when we get paid, 30% of it now is going towards debt. I spoke to a young lady last night, making good money, $120,000 a year. She only able to put $200 towards a retirement account, $800 going towards credit card debt. And guess what? And wanted to call me and say, Sherwin, I'm looking to buy a car. I'm looking at a Tesla, an Audi, or a Mercedes. I said, baby, you talking to the wrong person because I can't help you if you got that mindset. First of all, you paying more in debt than you putting towards your retirement, and you looking to pay potentially $800 plus on a car note. No. And guess what? Sometimes we know better. We just don't do better. It ain't like this was a 20-year-old female. This female here was in her 40s. She know better. But guess what? If you don't have nobody in your circle that you inventory to tell you to do better, you're going to continue to make them same habits and them same bad decisions in your 50s, in your 60s, and you're going to regret them decisions. So when we think about June 10th, right? Our ancestors fought for us to be free. And when you look at inventory in your circle, that's what they fought for you to be free. And you think about, Black Wall Street. Man, don't people have businesses? It was progress, but the other culture realized that's why they burnt it down. But we got to build our own Black Wall Street. We got to be able to support each other when you inventory your circle. You got to be able to build bridges in your community to where you could be a leader in your community, where you can be an influence, and in that way you can be an impact to somebody else and what they're doing. Inventorying your circle is so important. This is what I want to share with you guys tonight to be able to help you influence, to be able to change your trajectory of where you may be, not just from tomorrow, not just next year, not from 3 years. Because guys, the things that we want in life, oftentimes it ain't going to happen tomorrow. But if you build those habits and you build those bridges, I guarantee you will get to the levels of where you want to be. But that's through education and that's through information. Because when you plant that seed and you put education, you put information with it, it's your fertilizer to help that seed grow. Education and information is the fertilizer to help that seed grow in your life. So that thing that you want, that business that you want, that particular freedom that you want, it starts today. And you guys are already doing it because guess what? You're already invested in yourselves because you're on this call tonight, because you're getting this motivation, you're getting this influence. Now you're going to be inventorying your circle and say, you know what? I've been got some friends around me. Check this out. They can either be an asset or they could be a liability. Because if you got that one friend that's asking you for money, they're a liability. If you got that one family member that just can't help themselves and they always asking for money, they're a liability. But if you got that one friend to say, you know what, I'm getting ready to start this business. You want to partner in on this deal? Or I got this business. Do you want to become employee and work in this business and I can pay you? They're an asset. So you got to ask yourself, even around your family, your friends, your coworkers, right? Who is the asset? Who is the liability? That's important for us to adopt. and to move forward, to push ourselves and move forward. That's what Martin Luther King fought for. His dream, man. What is your dream? The dream to have a circle around you, man. And this is going to be the last thing I'll say, is our health is important. Do you have a medical doctor? This is something that I've been feeling it. Everything in my life, I felt like I was in control with, except my health. One of my family members, I got some devastating news. It wasn't not like to the point that they died, but it was like, you know, come on, it was like a death sentence. And then you start questioning yourself and say, when was the last time I've been to the doctor? Inventorying your circle around you involves your health as well, and making sure that you're taking appropriate vitamins, you're feeding and you putting the right things in your body that's going to help that engine, because our bodies are engines, right? To help us move forward to where we inventory our circle. So I went to the doctor the other day. I had an African-American doctor, a lady. And then she said, you 40 now, it's a certain test you got to take. And she did that certain test on me. And I'm like, ma'am, you going to put me to sleep? She said, no. I said, oh my God, I got a little hesitant. I think, God, you may know what that test I'm talking about. But we got to inventory our circle in regards to our health as well, to ensure that our engines are appropriate. Because guess what? Mardell, you got your daughter, man, that's watching you. And she want to see you when you're 70 and when you're 80. And you want to see when she have kids and the grandchildren. Because the seeds that you planted for your daughter today will be the harvest for her tomorrow. And then her grandkids going to be able to get that. And then they're going to look at grandpa and they're going to say, you know what? This is what Steve Walton did for Walmart. This is what Tim Cook did. This is what Phil Knight did. Anybody know who Phil Knight is?
Nike.
Who said that?
Rashard.
Rashard. Phil Knight. What you know about Phil Knight?
The guy came up with Nike.
You ever read his book?
Not to completion, only bits and pieces.
Guys, I'm going to tell you, if you're looking for a great business book and a motivation and inspiration, go buy that book. It's called Shoe Dog. You talking about inventorying your circle? Phil Knight, I don't know how much he worth, and I'm sure it's billions. But whatever he's worth, it's Crystal, it's called Shoe Dog, like shoe and DOG dog. I'll put it right here in the chat. Y'all, if y'all read this book, this man overcame so many challenges. But the one thing, what made him successful today, he was willing to accept a denial and say, you know what? It's only a delay. I will not be denied. This cat, man, started selling shoes out the back of his car. And guess what? People was buying the shoes. So he got to the point where he started to want to manufacture these shoes, and he was getting more orders at these different manufacturers. He was traveling over to China and they was making these cheap shoes, and he was getting more orders than the actual money that he can actually make to support to pay the manufacturers. So he had to go to these banks and get loans, and they kept telling him he had to get to a certain level and he couldn't borrow no more, and the orders was just getting more, and demand was getting more, and he was trying to find the money. But guess what? He was inventorying his circle, because he went to these private investors and said, I got this shoe that I'm actually building, and it's actually the reputation is building. And some of those private investors, they actually believed in his brand. And guess what? The Nike, the swoosh, Phil Knight was a professor in college, and he was kind of like in art school. And he had this one art professor that actually developed the Nike logo. Does anybody know how much he paid this lady for the Nike swoosh? He paid her $35 to what we know as that Nike logo today. And if you go and look at the story, this lady that made that logo, you know what Phil Knight did for her? Is he gave her one of the greatest gifts ever that she could receive. He gave her shares in Nike stock. not just a few, a whole lot. What he did was he gave her ownership because Phil Knight understands ownership. And when you own stocks and you own a percentage of it, it's going to continue to keep growing. If he gave her, say, $50,000 worth of stock in Nike 20 years ago, I can guarantee it's probably worth 100 times that today. And that was one of his major gifts that he gave to her. But Phil Knight had a mindset and an attitude to say, you know what? I'm not going to be denied. And Phil Knight went through challenges because guess what? He had one of his sons that actually died in the scuba diving. But if you go and look into Washington right about now, that's where Nike headquarters is at in Washington. And you go in their facility, you're going to see the Serena Williams. She's starting a legacy out there. She got a whole building on the Nike campus now. LeBron James got a whole building on the Nike campus now. But Phil Knight, he's established a legacy at Washington University. I'm sorry, Oregon University. Nike, I'm sorry, it's in Oregon. He established a foundation, a legacy in Oregon, on Oregon campus. If you go and look at Oregon Ducks, their school colors is green and yellow. But if you go to their NBA, let me show you here. If you go to their NBA gym, I'm not the NBA, their basketball gym. So I'm going to share this here with you really quick. I'm going to go to Google right here. I'm going to tell you how powerful this is. I'll go right here, Google right, and I'm going to say this right here. I'm going to tell you what he named this college basketball gym. So we take Phil Knight, Oregon basketball gym name. Okay. So this is the Oregon arena here, right? You see the Oregon Ducks here. But check this out. You see the name of this particular arena here is called the Matthew Knight Arena. Can anybody tell me who Matthew Knight may be?
Son that passed.
Who said that?
Rashard.
Rashard. That was his son that actually passed away in a scuba diving accident.
Yep.
Y'all see where I'm going? A billionaire. But guess what are you doing? What I talked about a little bit earlier tonight, giving back, but establishing a legacy in his son name. Man, guys, this is the book right here. If you're looking for a book to read to change your life this year, this book right here is a life-changing book. It's a read, but you can actually have it read to you. When I read this book right here, I said there's not going to be anything in life that's going to stop me from doing what I want to do. Shoe Dog, Phil Knight. This is a life-changing book. So this is what I'm talking about. When you inventory your circle, when I'm giving you these gems and these different books to read to help you change your life, this is what you need to have around you to help you grow. I shared on Facebook the different real estate podcasts that I listen to in our Facebook group. I shared like 10 different podcasts that I listen to every single day. And what happens is, right, when I go right here and I share these here with you really quick, and this will really be the last thing that I share here with you. I think I don't take it down, but you guys go to Let's Win Financial Group page. Guys, if my numbers, if it's too big for you, then your dream ain't big enough. I'm going to say that again. If I'm putting this information out here, and if I'm telling you I made in the last 2 years when the pandemic started, not from my job, but just from my business ventures, I made $230,000 over the last 2 years outside of my job. If that number right there is too big for you, then your mind frame is too small. That's just, I say that to tell you this here. If I can do it, it's possible. If LeBron James, or if you look at Tom Brady, if he can make in 22 years, $325 million, but after he get done playing in the league, he's going to go be a broadcaster and make $375 million over 10 years, more than he make in 10 years than he made 22 years in the league. That's possible to me. I could do that too, because if Tom Brady can do it, I could do it too. We got to make the impossible possible in our lives. But you know what? It ain't going to come to us when we're watching Love and Hip Hop. It ain't going to come to us when we're watching that Netflix series either. But it's going to take a step of what's uncomfortable. And then when you get uncomfortable, that's when you know you're growing. You ain't in your comfort zone no more. When you're in your comfort zone, that's when you ain't growing. When things ain't comfortable for you. Man, I get up every morning and it's a new challenge for me every day because there's a potential problem with one of the rental properties that you got to fix, like today. But guess what? I love it. It's energy for me because I'm always looking for the next deal and what's going to happen for me. I'm always looking to see what's the next person that I can influence financially, like what we're doing tonight. So inventorying your circle is key. Does anybody have any final sentiments before we close out tonight?
Sharon.
Go ahead.
Hi, Sharon. It's Crystal Moore.
Hey, Crystal, how's it going?
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Good evening. Hope everyone's having a good evening. I just want to say, Sharon, this was an excellent call. I am very enlightened by a lot of stuff that you said. A lot of confirmations that God has been speaking to me for the last couple of months. I feel like you definitely confirmed a lot of those things in terms of analyzing your circle, making sure that your circle is in fact enhancing your life, not taking away from your life. Mm-hmm. And also, I always hear this quote that they say, if you're the smartest person in the room, get out of that room. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I am challenging myself to get into the rooms that where I am not the smartest person. So I really appreciate you. And this was a really great call. And thank you again for all your knowledge.
Absolutely, Crystal. And again, I like to give you and your husband kudos because, your lifestyle is a little bit different. You don't have to go and work for a 9-to-5. You have your own businesses and it's successful. And we continue and pray for God's continued blessing over the businesses that you guys have and for your family. And so I'm just grateful for you guys being on this call tonight and being able to hear these conversations and helping us all move forward because ultimately that's what we want to happen, for us to all progressively move. Because, and this will be the last thing, allow your walk to be your witness. Because if anything, you got your kids watching you, you got your coworkers watching you, you got your family watching you, but most importantly, you have God watching you, and He's rooting for you. He's your biggest cheerleader, and He gives you talents and He gives you gifts. And you got to ask yourself, when you inventory your circle, are you using your gifts to the maximum extent in order for God to bless you more? When He bless you more, He know that if you are being faithful and good with the little that He's provided to you, then He's going to be able to bless you more to where you can be an influence to even more people. He can give you, and you could be a field night, and you can have your kid name on a building. And when that kid, your kid go to college, and when he has a kid, and when that kid have a kid, and when that kid have a kid, if they decide to go to Oregon 100, 200 years from now, Matthew Knight name will still be on that building because of what Phil Knight did several years ago to build that Oregon Stadium. It's the same way in our lives. It's the same way. So thank you guys for joining in tonight. And so if you got any more questions, just let me know. But never let what you see in front of you in your current situation dictate what tomorrow and next month may be. Because Martin Luther King, when he said that I have a dream, not only was it just a dream, but that dream was to become the possible, to execute those ideas and those concepts and put them into play. And that's to inventory your circle. Go ahead, Brian. I see your hand raised.
I just got to ask you a question since you are on the call.
Absolutely.
When do you think this we're going to hit the bottom in this sell-off?
That's a great question. I knew you was gonna ask that, right? So check this out. I'm always ready for it too. That's what my job is. All right. So let me explain this really quick. You see this right here, Bryant? This S&P 500. You see this?
Yep.
This is dating all the way back to March of 2009. And if you see here where it says stocks fall off, this is dating back from May the 18th through May the 15th at 2009, all the way into where we're currently at. But look at all these things right here that actually made the different stocks fall off, right? And what scared people, right? But if you go and look at this S&P 500, you see where it says the S&P 500 high and the S&P 500 low. Now your S&P 500, for the ones, this might be brand new to you, right? This right here is your top 500 companies in America inside of one basket. It takes an average. If you go right here in 2009, you will see that S&P 500 high was 930 points because it's identified that gives you a point. But if you see where it's at today, it's at 4,819. That was the high. Right now, the low is about 3,968. So Brian's question is, the market right about now has been very, very, very volatile. And what we've seen today, Brian, what came out in a report today, and I don't want to get too detailed on this because this wasn't really the main motive, but this is a great question that Brian asked, is inflation. You see this right here? Inflation fears, rising rates, Fed tightening, Russia, Ukraine, and war. This is why your retirement accounts is down now. And this is why we're going to go through some more pain, Bryant, through the summer. Because what happened this morning, let me share this right here with you, and this will be the last thing. I'm going to go right here. This is some very important information. You guys don't go. This right here that relates to you. What came out this morning, every single month is an inflation report that comes out. All right. Now, let me go back and share my screen. Inflation right now, it's up 8.5% more than it was this time last year. So again, that $100 bill that you had last year is now worth $92. Let me go and find this one article. It's right here on the headlines. Here it is right here. Check this out, guys. This is meat and potatoes right here. So check this out. This consumer price index, this report right here comes out every single month. It came out today and it came out for April. All right. So it's saying now that the consumer price index, which measures inflation, which is the goods and services going up, it now is 8.3%. All right. They were expecting for it to be 8.1%. But it went up 8.3% after today's report. This is the highest level in the last 40 years. So that list I shared with you earlier for us with used cars going up, gas prices being up 43%, this is what this right here measures, right? And so what's going to happen is every single month, next month, when May report come out, if this number is higher than 8.3%, the markets is going to continue to be downward. So my answer to you, Bryant, is around about September timeframe. It's when all the interest rates will be hiked and will be priced into the stock market. And that's when we believe that when we hit the bottom. We ain't at the bottom yet. It's going to be a little bit more pain, but we never change a long-term strategy due to a short-term consequence. So your question, Brian, I would say by September, that's when we won't see as much volatility.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't mean to take up everybody's time, but so should I continue to average cost dollar in, or should I just just wait till September and then try to get back in with these stocks, or should I just continue to buy as I go?
So my thing, Brian, always is just like how your retirement account, every time you get paid, money goes in there. The same way. And guys, I know it's hard to look into your investment account. I'll be honest with you. It's a struggle for me to even log into my account now because I know it's going to go back up, but it's what you've seen before and then what is now is just difficult. But my advice is always dollar cost average. That's invest still at a certain time frame, whether it's weekly, monthly, at the same amount, regardless if the market is up or if it's down. So that's what dollar cost average, and that's what my recommendation is. Because right now, what you're doing is you're buying on the average down. So as that market continue to go up, you don't buy averaging down. So those shares that you bought are just really going to be what we call red days, is the days that create serious wealth. So that will be my recommendation over to you to do that. All right. Now let me see here. Can I bring that back up? Let me see here. I want to bring that chart back up just to kind of show you guys here. Let me see if it's still up. Yeah, this right here. Check this out. So S&P 500, the highest, let's say for instance, this right here, look at this coronavirus right here, right? February 19th through March the 23rd, February 2020. This is where the S&P 500 was at this particular time. It was 2,192. Guys, between this time frame, between February 19th and March 23rd, in 4 days, this S&P 500 dropped 35%. It got down as low as 2192. If you want to see where the S&P 500 is at now, this is when people was panicking. So the S&P 500 today, right? When I go right here, let me just show you here really quick. It's going to show us right. It's going to show it. This little box right here when it show it. Your S&P 500 today is 3,945 points. Just 2 years ago, when the pandemic happened, coronavirus, no new stimulus deal, this S&P 500 was at 2,192 points. So it actually doubled, guys. The last 2 years, that was the last year's when I said I became a millionaire. This is one of the main reasons I became a millionaire, because guess what? The stock market literally doubled, man. So the money that you had invested literally doubled, coupled with the real estate boom going up. So it was like, man, the amount of money that was made in the last 2 years, that's why inflation is where it is now, because the people was getting money from stimulus checks. They were still working. And now you got a whole lot of money in the economy, but you don't have enough of everything. That's why the price was just insanely increasing. And so this is good. And I can share this here with you guys. These are all the different reasons here why stocks fall off. But guess what? In 2009, the S&P 500 was as low as 879. So we go here. We take 2013, it was low as 1560. There's a trend here. Guess what these numbers keep doing? And you see these years right here with these numbers, guess what they keep doing, Bron?
Going up.
Going up. That's why, you know what? When you dollar cost average, today's price, like my man, I can't think of his name, but he says today's price is not tomorrow's price. And you can't go wrong in the S&P 500, the top 500 companies. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Or Brian, you have another question? Because this is good learning, good discussion.
Appreciate it.
And for my new investors, look, this is rough. This ain't like this all the time. And if you put money in here, you're losing money. You ain't lost until you sold, so we still good. All right. It's over the long term. It's just the economy is just shifting a little bit. Our economy is slowing down with rising interest rates. So we're going to be okay. All right. Any more questions? All right, this is good. So you guys be well, be blessed. I'm gonna put right here in the chat. Oh, you saw Shoe Dog. So this is it, guys. So I'll be back. Might come up on the weekend, do a little pop-up on you guys to share some information. But if not, we will see you guys next Wednesday for Wealth Wednesday class. As always, you guys be well, be blessed. And as always, let's continue to win. All right, guys. Have a great night.